Perfect. And we're live. Well, Landon, thank you so much for joining me today. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Landon Ellis. This is one of my younger brothers. We're separated, what, 5 years? I think that's all it
Beliefs.
is.
Yeah.
But one of the four Ellis siblings. So I thought it was perfect to bring you on. I know that this is kind of out of your cup of tea range, so that's kind of why it's been a little bit longer than getting my feet wet with some other people. But I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. Cool. Well, I always like to start off with a fun one and just see kind of draw your memory back a little bit. What is one memory that comes to mind when you think about us?
So I was thinking about this a little bit, and like the first couple things that came to mind was like when you and excuse me, Brennan would have like a bunch of friends over, birthdays, whatever, and you guys would always let me hang out with you guys, whether it was like playing video games around the ping pong table,
Mm,
like always hanging out late, staying up with you guys, which is a lot of fun when you're the younger brother and you get to hang out with your older brothers and all their friends. That was a blast. And then the other thing that came to mind was COVID.
mm,
Right when COVID started, um, mom and dad wouldn't let us leave the house. Obviously, mom's an ER nurse, a lot of high stress, so she can't have us doing stuff like
mhm.
that. So it's me, you, Brennan, and Lauren sitting here for 30 days straight, hanging out 24 hours a day, hot
Yeah.
tubbing at night, playing video games all day. Like, I think that was just because that's like one of the rarest experiences. You'll never get that back. But
No.
dude, that was a blast. As much as like some people got to leave their house, whatever. We
Mhm.
sat here with each other for 30 days straight, and, like, I know people say COVID was terrible and all that, but that was one of the best times of my life because
Mm.
we just we got to hang out every single day, and, it was the last time it'll be like that, so, yeah.
You're right. Yeah, and I didn't even think about it that way. But yeah, me being about 4 years out of high school, we're just not gonna get periods where we have nothing to do and nothing at the right time. So I think that was COVID was very weird, but I think everybody has an experience with that where you just got to hang out and do whatever you wanted, which is kind of cool. I mean, when you get to as you're getting older and adults and you have more responsibilities, I mean, there's just like no time to do what you want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like even now with 2 kids now, it's like, "Oh, I just wanna jump on the game with the boys." I'll jump on for, like, a match, and then I'll just be like, "Dylan, where are you? I need help." Well, I'm just like,
yeah.
"Fuck," but you're right, I mean, that's cool. One of my favorite memories I shouldn't say favorite, it's the first one that comes to my mind is when you cracked your skull open after I kicked you in the middle of the living room and hit the end table. That was one of the scariest things I've ever done because your head was bleeding and it was wide open, cut wide open, and of course, mom was reaming me a new one, so it was just all the emotions at that time. Um, that's the one that comes to mind all the time because I just remember seeing the fear in your face, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
So I remember hitting the table, and I'm like,
Oh,
"It hurt." I put my hand on the back of my head, I'm like, "Holy shit," my whole hand
yeah. It was
was
scary, dude, because we were just kids and
was mom
didn't know what was
working
going
that
on.
day? Was she
I don't
working?
think so. I think she was up in her room because I
Okay,
remember
well, that was a different day, though, that she was working and we came to the hospital because one of us was hurt. I remember that because we had a
you
babysitter or something, and one of us got hurt, and we showed up to the hospital, and, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
mm. It had to have been you. You had the craziest history of major injuries growing up as a kid. It was
Yeah,
absolutely bizarre.
yep,
The other one that sticks out, is the thumb on the boat because I was sitting at the front of the boat when you had that thing literally latch onto your thumb,
yeah,
which was fucking nuts at the same time too. So, crazy. Lots of memories, lots and lots
yeah,
of memories. Obviously, we're still creating them, and now that we're getting older, it's harder to spend more time together like we used to be able to, just because
yeah,
everybody's living their own life and you're doing all the pharmacy stuff. But it's good to take a moment to get on and just reflect and to have a
yeah,
conversation. So, but kind of leading on to the pharmacy. Obviously, I've had Brendan and Lauren on, and they both originally said they were thinking about pharmacy just because of Steph and Dad and everybody else, but never fell through with it. So obviously, you being going into your final year of pharmacy school, what kind of made you fall in love or made you realize, like, yes, this pharmacy is actually for me, and this is what I want to do the rest of my life?
yeah, so I'd say, like, kinda like Lauren and Brennan, like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, and dad was always a pharmacist, so I thought that would be the easiest thing to do, but, that's still not a great reason to go into a position that you're gonna do for the rest of your life, but,
Mhm.
um, once I started, like, getting into it, I chemistry and biology are what it is, they're interesting, but not my favorite thing in the world, like just the general classes itself, but once you start to learn about like medications and how they work on the body and like medicinal chemistry, biochemistry, like that stuff's really cool to me because you can see how like medications work on the tiniest little part of your body and make changes that can, impact lives, which I think is just amazing. And I've always wanted to be in healthcare. I never really wanted to be, um, I never had an idea for anything else, I guess. I'm not a
Yeah,
salesperson. I'm not a big talker in that area, which kind of fits into pharmacy because I can kind of be in the healthcare space, but kind of space away as well. And yeah, doctors way too long. Never a big fan of blood, so I figured pharmacy is kind of the perfect spot for me.
right up your alley. So you're going to the hospital, right, rather than the retail, is that correct?
That's the plan. Yep. So I'll start rotations here in about a month now.
What was that experience like, being able to work in the retail and then not only that, but work with dad?
Dude, it was one of the coolest experiences ever.
It
Like
had to have been.
I can't even put it into words because like how many kids get to work with their parents or you know what I mean, vice versa. I got to work with every single one of my siblings at the restaurant bar in Okoboji.
Mhm,
Once in a lifetime experience. And I got to work with mom this summer when I was doing my hospital rotation. I actually got
hmm,
to I got to do a code blue with her, which is fucking crazy. And then you got to work with dad in the same summer at Walmart, which is, never allowed usually, but just the
mhm.
circumstances that happen. But yeah, just like seeing the way that he approaches everything and the way he goes through everything was so cool. And it's just like, that's something I'll never forget.
Yeah. I mean, I always like to make the joke that he's like the local celebrity around there. Everybody just, "Hey, Jason, hey." And so, I always talk I love when people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're Jason Ellis's boy, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure am," you know? And I'm sure you get that all the time when you guys are working together. Just like, "Wait, is that Landon back there? He's helping you
Yeah.
out doing all the things." So, I don't know. I think that's one of the coolest things is when you can carry a name like that and everybody respects it and like they can't say Jason without putting a smile on their face, and I think that's super unique, and you don't find that very often with people. So being in that setting must have been surreal, just seeing him do his craft, so seeing him work every day. Um, it must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. When I was at the hospital this summer too, I actually had a couple like people that realized me off of TED too, which was
Really?
pretty cool.
Huh.
Yeah. They're like, because you go and introduce yourself, whatever, and they're like, they're from Emmitsburg.
Mm.
And yeah, Ted Ellis. And I'm like, yep, that's my grandpa. And they're like, so Jason must be your dad. And I'm like, yes, yeah, he is. We get our meds from him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You and a lot of other people. But
Yeah,
yeah.
we've had an Ellis in that presence from Emmitsburg and Spencer since Fritz was running shops back in the '70s, if not earlier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've had a presence in Emmitsburg or Spencer for 50 plus years, and so it's interesting to see kind of what's gonna happen now because obviously me and Brendan moved away. Lawrence talked about moving away. Do you have any interest in staying around, like, the Spencer area, or is it more just, like, Midwest that you're still interested in?
You know, I don't think me and Matea could put down to a place that we're gonna live or like even an area that we're gonna live, but I can tell you it probably won't be
Not
around here.
Spencer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we both like we had good experiences growing up, but I think just you gotta take that chance and explore a little bit and whether it's West Coast, East Coast, South, I don't really know what it will be. We kind of see what happens because we both have very flexible jobs that could take us anywhere. So I think we're just gonna kind of see where the wind pushes us. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I see you guys both will have extremely flexible jobs. Even Mateo more than you even, but that's crazy to say. I mean, nurses, the opportunity is just bizarre.
yeah,
So, and now that we have the technology that you can even get recruiters just to say, "Hey, open me up to the big US and see where you can spot me." But that's kind of going into my next question. Is there any place in the world that you would want to visit soon within the like next 2 to 3 years?
next 2 to 3 years, I would say like once I'm done with school, um, like a honeymoon or something like that. I would love to
Mm,
go to Europe. I
mm-hmm.
mean, we've been to Mexico a few times now. Mexico's great. Resorts are fun, but it kind of sort of becomes the same thing. Like
Yeah.
by the day 3, day 4, it's like, okay, I've had a lot of fun, but I'm ready to go home now. Just like I don't know. Europe seems really cool. Just like being able to go somewhere different every day and you're seeing something that's just can't even believe is real. It's so beautiful. Something like that. Like Greece, Rome, all that stuff. I'd like to go for, a couple weeks at a time, just explore kind of like you guys did
Mhm.
a couple years ago. I think that'd be just a blast. I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime experience. I know Steph's done it quite a few times and like she speaks really highly of it. So I think that's what I would want to do here in a couple years once I start actually making a little bit of money and moving on in my
Yeah, I
progression.
mean, as soon as you guys get done, you'll have, both dual incomes and nothing but time and freedom. So, dude, Europe is so cool. It's so cool. I think the biggest takeaway I had from it though is that they have their own cultures. Every city you go to, every country you go to, it's so individually culturalized and it's so rich in history too. Because you
Yeah.
can't go, let's say you go to Rome. I mean, they've been around for 3,000 plus years on that peninsula. You go to Athens, at least that much longer, if not more. And then even Europe, like the general France and so on and so forth, we're talking a couple thousand years old as well. So it's so different. And like that was the biggest takeaway for me when we were just going everywhere we went, all those places. But everybody was so rooted in their culture, which obviously that's what makes the United States cool, right? Is that it's a melting pot. Everybody can be themselves, they can practice whatever, all the good things, but it's also super cool when you're so used to the United States being a melting pot to go to a place that only has like one or two cultures and they just kind of live that life. And I think that's super cool when everybody's kind of on the same page and just does the same things, acts the same way. I don't know. I thought it was super, super cool. So anytime you
Yeah,
get the opportunity to do that, it's definitely something to take advantage of.
yeah, I think that's awesome. Like, I don't know if I could ever see myself like living out of country, but I think
Mm,
that's like so sick that over in there that they all have the same culture. They seem much more
mhm.
united anymore than the US is.
Can be. I think that's the struggle that we have now is that it's gotten to the point where it's too much almost, where it's like not only it's not even state-wise, it'd be one thing if each state does have kind of their own little feng shui, whatever you wanna call it, because of the geographical things, whether it's farming, coast life, different things like that, mountains, but, um it's just you can go town to town, and each town's you're gonna see 8 different variants of people and 8 different kind of personality like, it's just so wild. It's
Yeah.
so wild. It's cool, but it's nice to have a little bit of a consistency, I would say. But I always ask myself too if I could ever live outside the United States. I think temporarily would be fun. Um but I don't think it could be a permanent. I know with Darian, she could never be that far away from her family, so we'll never do it. But just to like even like a year abroad, let's say you were in college or something like that, and that was when I was studying French, and there was like you have a possibility if you go all the way and get a bachelor's in this that your final 6 months you could actually go to a different country and like live there to learn the language. I was like, dude, that would be so cool. That's once in a lifetime too. You'll never forget that. Like, oh, I just spent 6 months in France. Like that's cool as fuck, you know what I'm saying? So, but you guys are also at the age where you can kinda do things like that, where you can kinda just get up and go experience the world, and, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, just wait till you're done having kids and your grandparents and then go see the world," and I'm just the way I see it is, like, you're not guaranteed to make it that far, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If you're young and you have time to do things, like, go do them because you just never know what's gonna happen next. Maybe you have 10 kids and you raise kids into your 70s, like, then what? What are you gonna do then? You can't just wait till you're retired, so, um, but yeah, I don't know. Travel while you can.
I think you hit it on the head there, yeah. Definitely these first
Uh,
couple years after school. That's gonna be
yeah,
the time to, go see things, go do things, and then maybe settle down later. But yeah, right after school, Europe, wherever it may be, I wanna go do stuff like that.
hell yeah. What would you say is, like, one thing that really gets you out of bed in the morning? When you're something like, say you got a long day of studying, you got some grueling tests coming up at the end of the week. What's something that kinda gets you motivated to get out of bed in the morning, would you say?
Um, I would say, like, maybe these first couple of years of pharmacy school, I wasn't the best. I didn't have the greatest attendance. It
Mm,
wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But I think just kinda, like, the vision of, like, being able to care for a family, when I'm gonna be a pharmacist, I have to wake up every day. I have to get out of bed no matter what. If I feel crappy or not, I still have to get up and, provide for a family, provide for myself. So I think just, like, even a couple times this week, I was like, "Ah, I could probably skip this class and I'd be fine. Like it's not that big of a deal."
Mhm.
But that's just not a real thing in the real world. So you gotta push through everything. As much as it sucks to wake up every morning at 8 a.m. and go sit in the classroom till 4 every day,
Yeah.
it's life. It's what I signed up for, so it's what I gotta go through. It's kinda how I think about it, like, you put yourself here, now you gotta deal with it.
Yeah. And you're obviously being in healthcare and being a pharmacist, you're a lot of people are going to depend on you, and that's a good thing, but a bad thing at the same time. The good thing is that I think it holds you to a higher standard, so you're a little bit more accountable to yourself, just like you said. That's just something you got to do. You signed up for it, but whereas like if you're not to diss on anybody, but working for a major corporation, and it's like psh, they already got 6 people doing that job today. What's a big deal if I call out, or like, oh well, I can show up and the boss ain't gonna know if I take an hour and a half lunch. I'll just take an hour and a half lunch rather than an hour lunch. And so having that accountability just sit on your shoulders probably can be a lot, but I think it's a good thing at the end of the day. It keeps you honest and keeps you true. So, um, you're gonna be a leader. That's for sure.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, people are gonna look to you, for answers. And
Yeah.
I mean, just from my personal experience with, you know, it's so weird because our whole family is so medicine minded. Even Darian is, and everybody's so medicine minded. And I swear to God, I have like a missing chromosome when it comes to the medical stuff. Like it just isn't there. I can't think of it. I can't fathom it. I got nothing. So, um, it's very interesting to see how you guys work in the lingo that you talk and everything like that because you guys have a lot of responsibilities. It's no different. Like I say with sales, at the end of the day, it's 100% on me. So if I just like do I need to follow up with that person? They're probably not gonna buy anyway, so I'll just ignore it. Where you, it's like, "Oh, they have medication that I give them. If I don't follow up with them, they could be dying or they could be getting in worse condition." Like, I have to follow up with them. So,
Yeah.
having that accountability, I think that would help me a lot because I do struggle with that factor of it, of, like, knowing that I don't have to do something kinda tickles my brain and is like, "Well, if I don't have to do it?" And
Yeah.
so which isn't the best mindset to have, but that's just who I am. So, find ways around that. Um, what is something you once strongly believed in but eventually outgrew?
So I had asked mom and dad about this because I honestly
Mm,
didn't really know, and one thing they said was just sports in general, like, we grew up. I know this is the most common answer you can put, but, we grew up like we were talking about earlier, AAU basketball, regular basketball, baseball, football.
mhm,
There's just so much sports that take up so much time in your life that like bring you so much joy in the moment too that like once you're done with that, it's weird. Um,
oh, yeah,
but it's okay to outgrow that. And then one other thing that I would say is when I was listening to like Brendan's podcast earlier, kind of the fact of like mom and dad being healthcare, medication or people thinking that medication is like the answer or it heals or something like that. Like that is such a misconception, which like
mhm,
I thought growing up that, if you're taking medication, maybe you're gonna get better, blah blah blah. It's really just not how it works at all. It's supposed to be more of like a wake up call for patients.
mm,
And I know you kind of had a healthcare thing in your past where you start to get on 1, 2 medications, and all of a sudden you're like, "This is how it's supposed to be. Holy shit, I gotta get my ass in shape because further complications are gonna keep coming." Like, medication is not the answer, which I think you learn the more as you're in a field like mine, that it's supposed to be like a bridging method so you can
mm,
get yourself back into a good health. Obviously, there is some medications that you're gonna be on your whole life, which, certain disease states that you can't ignore, but yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest wake up from when I was younger to now.
yeah. I think that's a great answer because I think that everyone has that misconception until they're put into that medical scene. Yeah, not everybody has the answers. Just because, let's say, for instance, I sell floors for the next 20 years doesn't mean that I'm going to walk into a house and just know exactly how that floor was treated, and all these other things. It's no different than medicine. You could be in practice for 25 years, but maybe there's some other reactions that are going on, things that you just haven't seen or don't know how to diagnose correctly. And it's tough. And that's been one of the hardest things for me is going to these professionals that are supposed to be like the smartest people, blah, blah, blah. And they just go, and shrug their shoulders and go, "I don't know," and it's just like but that's not their fault, it's my fault because I had the wrong misconception of everything that, they kinda stand for. You think that you hear all these, "Oh, they go to med school, and then they go to the residency, and they do all these things." It's like, well, they should have all the answers then. It's like, that's just not how the body works. The human body is still one of the biggest mysteries on the planet, and so it's educated guesses is the way I like to use it, is that they're just the most educated on the topic, and they make the best guess that they can. And then obviously we do have some technology enough that you can do tests, and sometimes a test can kind of help narrow things down. But I've had 2 instances in my life, whether it was my back or now the stomach stuff, where it's like they don't have an answer. And there's just literally, like you said, there's pills, there's routines, there's things that you can do to kind of help cope with things, but there's just not a, oh, you slipped a disc in your back, let's go fix that, boom, you're healed now. It's not like that. And so it feels really isolating to me. It does feel like it's just like, I don't know anyone else who's had this back to back where they just have issues that never have an answer.
Yeah.
But I know I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one out there who's dealing with chronic things that just don't have answers to them, and it just kind of affects their day to day. So, but we look to people like you to find answers and find things. So I'm sure that's a lot of pressure on you too when you're thinking about, someone's in pain and coming to you and you want to help them, but you just can't. Like there's just not much you can do. But as long as you do everything in your power, I think that's all you can do at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, well, thankfully, it's not my job to
yeah.
diagnose someone because they got the hard job, but
Yeah, you just gotta fill out the pills.
yeah.
Fill them up. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But, what emotion do you find hardest to understand about yourself, would you say?
So I had to ask Mateo on this one
Yeah.
because I'm not an emotional person. I'm not gonna say I don't understand them, but I'm just never been good at showing them or expressing
Yeah.
them. She said anxiety because it's hard for me to name when I'm feeling it, I would say,
Mm,
or sometimes I'll just get angry and I'll kinda close off, but I get overwhelmed or stressed with a lot of things, and I wouldn't even say that, like, school is a majority of it. Like, an exam doesn't really stress me out, a grade doesn't really stress me out. It's more like a structure in a daily life. Like,
mm,
if I'm not I don't know, like, if I'm not done studying by 6 or 7 o'clock, I get stressed out. Like, I don't like spending all my time doing school.
mhm,
Um, yeah, it's just weird. Like, I even on Sundays, if I'm not home by a certain time, it'll start to stress me out. Say I'm up in Brookings for the weekend. I'm just a very structured person that I like a routine, getting home, starting my laundry, making meal preps for the week. That's something that's really come on to me like through this year is just I have to be structured in everything I do. Otherwise, it just stresses me out beyond belief. And I'm so bad at expressing that to Mateo or other people, but she definitely helps out with that a lot. The other thing that helps me out, uh, funny enough, is Xbox, which
mhm,
I was talking to mom last night, and she said something about reading. She's like, "Yeah, it just puts me in my own place. I don't have to worry about anything else, and I only focus on one thing." And I go, "That's exactly how I feel about Xbox."
mhm,
And she just kind of
mhm.
laughed at, but I'm like, "It is. That's how I relax. I focus on one thing, kind of let everything else go away in the wind, and that's how I settle down." But yeah,
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce our new sponsorship with West River Whiskey Company. West River Whiskey Company started as a dream in the summer of 2020. While working with Indian Motorcycle, the owner, Joel, made great friends with some key executives at Jack Daniels. They successfully opened their business in April of 2021. They started their journey off with Jack Daniels products, and after just 6 months into operations, they were approached by a business partner, Gordon Oman of Black Fork Farms Distilling. Over the last several years, they have built the West River and Black Fork brands, introducing the world to South Dakota bourbon. Starting with just a handful of bourbon styles, they now proudly pour and sell over 15 different bourbon products, as well as Black Fork's top vodkas and gins. In 2024, West River was named Deadwood Business of the Year by a group of their peers. They strive to give back to the community that has given them so much, as both Joel and Don proudly serve on the Deadwood Fire Department. You can find their website link in my bio, where you can get direct access to their merchandise. As always, thank you for your support and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Yeah, I think that's awesome. You need something like that, though, that you can just shut everything else off. I didn't realize that was golf for me. Like, I don't
Really?
get to golf very often, but, like, truthfully, golf makes me put myself in a mindset where I can't think about anything else, otherwise I can't hit the ball.
Yeah,
Like, I will literally turn my phone off, I will put everything aside, like, just lock in, and that's, like, the one thing where I can just lock into it. Video games used to be the same way for me, however, now with kids and everything, it's not like I can just sit down for hours at a time and not do anything else but game. It's like, oh, I might be able to get one game in. Okay, go check on Freya. Get another game in. Oh, go change Solvay. Like, go check. Just going back and forth all the time. So that's not what it used to be, unfortunately for me. But I definitely can relate with that. Where it just at the end of the day, where you could just turn everything off and just forget everything that happened and just play games with the boys.
yeah,
Woo! That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. But
very fun.
anxiety, that it makes sense because I didn't know that about myself either. That for the longest time, I never felt anxiety. I never felt stress. It was when my back started having problems and no longer could do the things that always did to kind of release my stress. That's when it started to build up. And then I had like my first times of anxiety and things like that. And for people who have never experienced anxiety, it is horrifying sometimes. Your heart's just beating outside, your mind is just racing all over the place. And it's like, I've only had I can count on my hands how many times I've had, like, full-blown anxiety/panic attacks, and when you finally start having those, it's crazy, like, I don't know, people always said when they were growing up, like, "Oh, I'm anxious about this," or "I have anxiety," or "I'm stressed about this," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what that is," like, I just never did,
Yeah,
until I got older and, life started to kick me down a little bit, and then I think that's when it starts to grow from there, so, um but I'm so routine too. That's one thing, I always like to claim that I have that West Coast mentality where it's just like go with the flow, whatever happens, happens. But at the end of the day, it's not true. Like I can be very routine as well, where will like to get up at certain times. I like to, do things routinely, whether it's the simplest things too. You know what I'm saying? Like brushing your teeth, making sure you get in the shower, making sure I go downstairs, get my one drink, take my pills, like just little things that don't seem like a routine, but they fucking are. Because if I don't
yeah,
do that, then I'm just completely out of whack and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So um but it's interesting to notice those things about yourself, right? And that's kind of the
yeah,
fun part about asking the questions is because you don't really pick up on those tendencies unless you sit down and think about it. And you're like, oh, wait, I do that every single day. Like, that's actually a huge part of my day, um, which I don't know, is kind of cool. But
yeah.
is there anything that you found during school that kind of settles you down outside of games?
Probably the cat. I
The
mean,
cat.
yeah, Kiki. Well, like I was talking about, every day pretty much since I've been in pharmacy school, I was listening to Lauren's podcast, and she says she studies from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I've never studied past dinner time one time in my school because that's not how I work. You got to shut your brain off so you can restore it for the next day. But yeah, I mean, when I lived with Matea, we'd watch a movie, hang out with the cat, play with the cat a little bit, and that's a little fluffy thing you never think would have such an
Hmm.
impact on your life, but it's a stress reliever, man. I don't even know how to describe it because I never liked cats growing up, and I never thought that that would be like have an impact on my life. But yeah,
Cats are weird creatures. They honestly, I know they say dogs pick up on emotions. I don't. I think a cat is way more.
way more.
Like even with Darian, the cat knew that she was pregnant before Darian knew she was pregnant. Like, it was just, like, one of those things where she always laid on her belly as soon as she was pregnant. She did it with both pregnancies and would never leave her side. Like, no matter what was going on, she just followed Darian around the house, and it's like, but how do they know? Like, it's so weird, but it's the comforting thing. They're just literally there for comfort. But to watch it is crazy because 'cause you're just like, "How do you know that? Like,
Yeah,
what's going on?" But they can pick it up, they can sense emotions, they can sense feelings, and it's super cool. It's super
yeah.
cool to see. But that's good. I mean, yeah, I mean, considering from you, I'm pretty sure you're still allergic to cats, are you not?
I mean, technically, yeah, I think we all are, but I don't know how that works.
Find a way to make it
After a
work,
week,
yeah.
I was fine,
Little
and
Benadryl here and there, not gonna hurt nobody.
yeah. Honestly, I
Mm,
haven't taken a single med since after the first week of being with her,
hmm.
and I've been fine, so I don't know
Maybe
what
just a
the
little exposure helped out a little bit, I don't know.
whole exposure therapy, yep.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? What do you think your younger self would be most surprised to learn about who you are today?
Kinda going off of that, I would say probably that I have a girlfriend of almost 3 years now. I'm gonna be
Mm,
a I'll have a doctor title in a year, which seems crazy because I still feel so young and
mm.
I don't know, I feel immature at times, but like I feel like I haven't learned everything yet and there's just so much to learn. But yeah, I'll have a doctorate in a year, which is just crazy to me. And then probably the cat thing. I mean, like I said, we hated cats growing up. Dad was allergic, I was allergic, Lauren was allergic. So it was just like never a possibility when we go somewhere, the cats would be away. Like, but then, Kiki's lived with me for the last year and a half now. And I've been, especially this year, like she lives with me and I take care of her. My roommate helps out quite a bit, but um, yeah, she's just like, I don't know, something easy. Like, I don't want a dog because they have so much impact on your life. You got to board them on the weekends if you're not there, let them out to pee. When you can
Mhm.
just kind of, you know, you can be gone for a couple days and that cat's still going to be all right. Gives you a sense of like, I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean?
Oh, it's
Like,
nice, yeah, when you don't have to worry about it. That's the hardest thing is that with us obviously having 3 dogs, it's such a pain in the ass to find people to
yeah.
watch them. But the cats, shit, I'll just get a nice big tub, I'll dump out all their food, we can go a week, I give them a 5-gallon jug, have a good time, like, we'll be back in a week from now, so
I'll
I know
say,
exactly what you're saying.
I'd be seeing you this weekend if you didn't have those damn dogs, but
Yep. Yep, well, they're getting old as fuck. I say Nova's 9, Horace is 7, as old as 5, so we're getting there, but, um yeah, we lost our permanent dog sitter in Mr. Kubi, so we need to find another permanent dog sitter, but probably won't. But no, it's so interesting, and it's a weird, surreal feeling knowing that in a year from now, you and Lauren will both be out of college. So it's like mom and dad will literally have all adults, and like that's a big turning point too, you know. And I'm pretty sure Lauren's turning 21 this summer. Yes.
yeah, in June.
Which that itself, it's just like we're all technically adult age, we're all adults, and it's like, that's just weird. Like, I don't know. Even to say I say it all the time, but I'm literally approaching 30. Like, that doesn't sound or feel right at all, but it's true. Like, as much as time goes by, it almost there's days where it doesn't feel like it we've like, I feel like I could have been back at home 2 years ago, but that was 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's bizarre, and so, the older you get and the more years and mileage you put on, everything just starts to blend together, and it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely does. I've started to realize that too. Like after turning 21, man, it starts to fly a little bit. But when you were younger, living at home, living bill free, it felt like the days were so slow and the years were
Mhm.
slower. But yeah, now, I mean, like I said, 5 years into college and about done with school, which just like, I don't even know how I got here, to be honest. It just seems like it flew by so fast.
Yeah, when you take it on life, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Like you said, a day in the old times is like a week in the new times, where it's just like you could piss away a week, and you'd just be like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, it's just so
Yeah.
easy to piss away time when you're older because there's just so many things going on, which kinda sucks, and I've definitely taken the time as now being a parent of trying to spend multiple times throughout every single day to slow things down no matter what it is, whether it's just literally to sit there, put my phone away, put the games away, whatever it is, turn the TV off and just sit and be enjoying in the moment. Um, because it's almost like even with Freya, she's almost speaking full sentences now. And it's
Yep.
like I look at Solveig and I'm like, Frey was born not even 2 years ago. Like, this is literally insane. Like, how do we go from a little potato to running around, screaming, having a good time? Like, it's freaking weird, man. Life is weird,
Singing
but
songs and everything in between. And
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Um, but, speaking of kids, I never thought of you as, wanting to be a father or wanting to, have a family, but from my understanding, that's something that you're really looking forward to later in life.
yeah, I mean, I just think it's like, me and Mateo have talked about this, but I just think it's like once in a lifetime. Like that's just something you can't redo. And once you're, I don't know, like seeing you guys do it, I know that it's gonna suck for a couple of years. Not suck, but you know that it's a lot of work. You gotta
Yep.
wake up I'm a person that doesn't do good with missing sleep, so I will be interesting to see how that works.
Eh,
But I just think it's something that, like, is the coolest thing that you can do in life. Like, you can get a doctorate, you can do all these things, you can travel the world, but, like, what mom and dad have, having 4 kids that, are still connected like this, still do what they love to do. I just think that's, like, the coolest thing in life that you can't change almost, I don't know.
yeah. I I always say that everything before I had kids, everything seemed so important, right? Whether it was even gaming with the boys or just the most minuscule things had so much value to me. But after you have a kid, you start to realize how I wouldn't say meaningless, but basically how irrelevant everything was beforehand. Like to know that you're raising and growing a human and teaching them and all the things it's one of the coolest things in the world. It's so cool. But it makes everything else seem like, well, why was I waiting so long to do this? Or like, why I didn't even like, one of the famous quotes is like, when you're on your deathbed and you're waiting, death's knocking at the door. You're not going to go ask for your accolades. You're not going to go ask for your money. You can see one more time. You're going to ask to see the people you love the most one more time before you say goodbye. Like
Yeah,
that is it. That's the whole purpose of life is to build a family and build a culture. And it's it's so weird when you're actually doing it and just seeing it every single day, you know? Freya is 100% my personality, like, she's just so much of me, and so, it's so fun when I'm around mom because she'll see it and just start laughing, and I'm like, "What's so funny?" And she's like, "That was you 25 years ago," and I'm like, "Well, fuck." So it's just like it's karma coming back for me, and just it's just reliving it through my own endeavors, so it's cool, man. I would always say I don't wanna knock on anyone who's never had kids, but it's so hard to describe what you're missing out on. Like, I always say, like, Freya literally said, "Love you," yesterday. Like, she gave me a kiss goodbye, and obviously it was broken English, but it was like, "Love you," and I was just like, I don't you can't make that feeling up no matter how many touchdowns I scored, no how many PT tests I passed, no matter how many accolades I've gotten. None of it even compares. None of it even sniffs that feeling of, like, your kid looking you dead in your eyes and saying that they love you. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, what else can you ask for?
There's
What else
just
can a man dream for, you know?
no amount
So,
of money that can pay for that, like, those moments, which
no.
that's why, like, I think that's just irreplaceable, man, like,
Oh, yeah.
you gotta experience it at least once. At least
I think
once.
so. I think so. And like I said, I was one of those guys that said, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna get married. It's just a piece of paper. I don't think I'm gonna have kids because it's gonna suck all my money down and keep me from doing things that I wanna do." But I would just say to anybody, try it once, I know it's a lifetime commitment afterwards, and so don't rush into it by any means, but if given the opportunity to, I think it's one of the coolest things in the world. So,
For sure, yeah.
but that's just my 2 cents on it. What is the most painful truth that you've had to accept about yourself?
So I would say, like, not to be, like, specific, but more just to, like, everyone, like, you'll never be good enough or like, whatever you do will never be enough,
Mm,
which, like, we learned in school at one point, like, imposter syndrome, which is basically you feeling like you're never gonna be enough compared to people around you or, even for yourself, if that be, but I was thinking about this yesterday, and one thing that I thought of was Matthew McConaughey's, like, Oscar speech a couple years ago,
mhm.
and he says during it, like, he gets asked, "Who's your hero?" And he goes, "Well, my hero's in 10 years." And then he comes back 10 years later and say, "Who's your hero now?" "Well, it's me in 10 years from now." Like, I think that's just you have to accept that right now, there's always more to learn. You're not gonna be your best self, but the future, like, you just keep looking forward to the future, making yourself better each day at a time and accept that, you're not your best self every day. You're not your best self right now, but you can become your best self with time. Um, yeah,
That's a good answer. I think the societal norms definitely impact everybody, right? Where it's just I've had a lot of time to now talk with people who are under the age of 30, and it's just like I don't know. It's something about our generation, and I'm sure it was for the generations before us too, but there's so much pressure it feels like on us. Like there's so much expectations and like now more than ever people feel like they have to have their whole life put together before they're in their mid 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like but if you ask anybody who's 40, 50, 60, they'll say your 20s are meant for you to fuck around. Like literally try new things. You're not supposed to like establish yourself in your 20s, but for some reason, it just feels like there's so much pressure on the youth to make things happen so fast. And so, you know, when people are getting married and they're like 20, 21 years old or having kids that early or starting careers, I'm just like, man, that's so quick. Like enjoy your life, enjoy your time. Like if you're truthfully that's what you want, that's great. But like I don't know. And I think I did it to myself too, where me and Darian had this just list of things where like we gotta accomplish these things, we gotta do these things. But when you do all those things and it's done, then you're like, "Well, now what?
What's
Like,
next?
what
Yeah,
do we do now?" Like, there's always something more that you can do, like, I don't know. The corporate world definitely taught me that too, where it's like, you'll never be enough. Like, no matter what, somebody's always gonna expect more, they're gonna want more no matter what you do, and that's kinda tough to swallow, where it's like, my example was that I literally turned our store from, like, a 50% margin to 120% in 5 months. Number 1 store in the country in the month of March. I go and like, "Oh, I did everything, blah, blah, blah," and the boss literally looks at me and goes, "Oh, so I see you have a 50% discount rate. Why can't you fix that?" And it wasn't congratulations, it wasn't you're doing a great job, it was boom, and I was just like, "Oh, so that's life, that's life. Nobody's ever
yeah,
gonna it's never gonna be enough." And so, um that's kind of hard to accept though, because 'cause you're like, you want the gratification, you want the rewards, but people are just always gonna want more. No matter how good of a dad you are that day, no matter how good of a husband you were, next day you gotta get up and do it again. So,
yeah. I feel like growing up, you kinda get that rewarding stuff too, and then you get to something like the corporate world, and they do that, and you're not appreciated. I mean, you're replaceable is what they would probably describe you as.
yep.
Um, yeah, anybody in that, like, you ask for a raise, okay, we'll just fire you and hire someone for the same price
Mhm.
that's grateful for that because 'cause you're always replaceable, and
Yep.
yeah,
And I do miss the corporate world in a sense because of the structure, but it is so cool to be in your own boss, like 100% commissions where it's just like it's 100% on me. So if I want to make more money, I got to make more calls. If I'm okay with what I got, I'm okay with what I got. But it's like at the end of the day, there's no one else I can blame but myself. And that's kind of cool. Where it's like with all the other jobs, it's like you can come up with 80 different excuses because someone won't help you here, won't do this there, yada, yada, yada. But putting yourself in a position where it's completely on you is very unique. It's very
yeah,
different than anything I've ever done in the past, so,
for sure.
but it's stressful too, because like you said, if there's some days you're not feeling it or you just don't wanna do it, it's like you don't have an option. It's like either, you okay, fine, you don't wanna go to your 3 appointments today that you have? Great, well, then you made $0 today. How does that sound? Like, it's like, "Fuck that, I can't do that," so,
Yeah,
I mean, that's being an adult, I think, at the end of the day, is everybody realizes that, life isn't all cakes and pies and all the fun stuff, but, um that's just life. Just get up and keep doing it day after
yep.
day. So, well, let's move on to a little bit more, I would say, deeper questions or meaningful questions about religion. And when you think about like faith, spirituality, or higher power, where do you personally stand on the idea of God?
Yeah, so I'm a believer of God, Jesus Christ. I follow Christianity, but I'm still growing in it. I think Lauren's pretty inspirational in that aspect. She's kind of changed her life around, which I think is awesome, and just kind of the power of God. I mean, I obviously don't have everything figured out, but I think God brings purpose to life, and my faith isn't perfect, and I'd like to become better at it. Um, which is something that I think I have become a little bit better at, having Mateo around, having that person that can kind of push you to become more religious and more faithful, go to church on Sundays and kind of express that um, Jesus Christ within your own relationship, to help build you and make you stronger. But, just like I don't think it's something that is ever going to be perfect. You can work on it every single day um, to become better for each other, to become better for yourself, and yeah.
Do you think your baseline was established through us going to church growing up, or do you think that you've kind of found your own path as life has gone on?
I think it gave me a baseline, but kinda like you like everybody has said, like, making you go to church on Sunday morning doesn't make you a Christian or make you a believer of God because, you know, none of us ever wanted to go. We all would
No.
wake up 10 minutes before, throw on khakis, and be like, "Do we really have to go?"
Mhm.
But I don't think that really didn't really set the foundation. I would say through college, like, through Matea is where I kinda started to, like, build more of that foundation.
Has there been, like, any specific moments or, like, anything experiences-wise that have led you to, like, be a more believer in Christ?
The one I would say is, so, right after high school, I got arrested for some dumb stuff, and then into my first year of college, first semester, I got arrested again, which, that was just, like, the lowest of the lows, kinda
Yep.
everything on your shoulders weighing you down, and then, like, I was applying for pharmacy school, um, into my second year, so I was sending that in, I had an interview, and, like, kinda like, I don't know, knowing all those decisions were my fault, but, like, when I did get accepted, it was just kinda like this relief, like, this is God telling you this is where you should be, like, you did earn it, I don't know, like, that was just kind of the path that he chose for me because, obviously, I probably shouldn't have been there with couple
All the
couple arrests
hiccups?
in the record, but that was kinda just like an eye-opening experience for me, like, this is where I should be, this is God telling me that this is the right path, this is what I should be doing, you know?
It's hard to, yeah, not look at it that way and be like, "Well, clearly it was meant to be," right? Obviously,
Yeah,
if there's so many obstacles that are trying to get in your way from something that you really want, but it still happens, maybe it was just meant to be. And it's hard to say, is that us like an almighty power kind of helping guide that way, or is it just chance or luck?
yeah,
You'll never know. But it's never, I guess, a bad thing to kind of appreciate what you have, and if there's anything out there, at least appreciate that. Do you find that you connect through the religion more with reading about the Bible, or is it more through prayer, would you say?
I would say it's more through prayer, um, I've I've gotten better at reading the Bible, I'm not amazing at it, but I would say more through prayer is just how an easier way to connect for me, um, me and you kinda one and the same here, that reading is not my cup of tea at all. I
Mm,
I hate reading. The only reading I do is for pretty much research articles for pharmacy school because I just don't like reading at all.
yeah.
But trying to understand the Bible is like reading reading a book for a blind person for me. I don't know. It's so hard.
Yeah.
But I think going to church, like, they can simplify it and make it easier for someone like me to understand and put it into actual words. Whereas like Lauren can read the Bible and understand what it means, all this stuff. It's a foreign language for me when I try to read it.
I feel dyslexic when I read that shit, where it's just
Exactly.
like it's and it makes sense because the Bible is basically, how many different stories from different people and then translated how many times. It's
Yeah.
one of those things where it was originally in Hebrew, or it was in different languages that are extinct now from different messengers. So, it is very interesting. It is not one of those things that is just like a light read either. I know Darian has one, and so I spent a lot of time in college looking at, the Old Testament, New Testament, late antiquities, different things like that with Christianity, and it's so different seeing where how people receive the message, right? Where some people, like for me, receive it as like it seems like a bunch of hocus pocus, where other people are like, "Oh, those are actual historical evidence that, yes, those events happened, so there must be a God." And so I think it's very interesting to see it. I always say it's like an intersection, like a Y intersection, where one person goes one way, but one person goes the other, but they had the same journey to get there. And
Yeah.
so I think it's so interesting to see. That's why I love to ask the question, is because, yeah, we all grew up and raised the same way, but how do we eventually branch off and discover our own things, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Um, but it's good. I mean, like I said, I always think that faith is a good thing for people to have. Gives you purpose, gives you meaning, and it puts, yourself outside of just your own self. Rather than being so selfish and being so internal, you have to think outside the box and think about others and think about a higher power in general. So,
Yeah.
um, Do you think then that humans were created with intention, or do you think that it was more of just like God put us here just to see what would happen and this is what we made of it?
I think it's so like it's got to be intention with everything that consciousness, emotions, the feeling that people can have between one another. There's no way that we could have everything that we have just by chance. And which I don't know, like how diverse, I mean, even the human body, and then you start to think about like just a world, galaxies, universes. There's no way that just by chance all that happened. That's why I think like there's got to be a bigger purpose behind it all because it wouldn't make sense for a chance. It has to be by intention, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, when we were back in Spencer last weekend, since we live in the city, it's really hard to see the stars at night, right? But when we were back in Spencer, it's outside a metropolitan area, and you can just see the entire skyline, and it's just like to know how many other stars are out there and how many other like it's just trippy as balls when you start actually thinking about it. And so yeah, it comes down to that where it's like, do you believe that someone created this, or do you think that the universe is just that complex that it has just created all these different living organisms and beings and planets and solar systems, like, and then we just got lucky enough to be here, let alone not only lucky enough to be alive, but to be able to experience this crazy dance that's called life that we now work in society with. And so it's hard. I completely understand when people say, yeah, there's got to be a God. There's got to be somebody that created us this perfect world because, even as science and scientists get farther into exploration of the outer space, like we can't find any other living organisms out there. Like it'd be one thing if we found a planet that had living organisms that weren't humans, but just living organisms, period, we can't find them, from my understanding. And so it's just like, how did we get so lucky to not only have living organisms for the last hundreds of millions of years, but to shape it into what we are now?
Yeah.
It's hard to not say there isn't some divine intervention. You know what I'm saying? Like something that kinda took place, but do you think how far back do you think the human story goes? Because obviously, we can prove with science there was dinosaurs, there's different megafauna, different things like that that have lived here for hundreds of thousands of years. How far back do you think the human story goes?
Man, I not a fucking clue. Like, which
Dude.
I think is okay. There's no way to tell.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's just no way to know. You can think whatever you want. I've never really been a person to like think, yeah, I think it's exactly 10,412 years ago. I think it was a
Yeah.
long time ago. Um, I think it was tens of thousands of years ago. And I know you've kind of said the same thing, which it makes more sense to me than just the last couple thousand years is what most people think, like 5, 6,000 or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it only makes sense with everything that it's been. There's been maybe a second ice age that it was tens of thousands of years ago that we had kind of hitting at the bonus question here. But,
Mhm.
you know, it just wouldn't make sense any other way that I feel like it has to be, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. I just think, yeah, if it was like the Adam and Eve story for me is always just it's doesn't make sense in my mind. Where it's like God created two people, Adam and Eve, and they started the world. And it's like, well, then we would all be incestual
Yeah.
creations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's possible. Or I think it's way more possible for different species to interbreed with each other and then basically spawn out all kinds of different, turning us into Homo sapiens eventually with evolution. I think that makes more sense to me than just two people started it all. Um, and I know that's typically the belief that Christians have. I need to look up and see because obviously Judaism is the first. It's like all based off the Old Testament in Christianity, and so the Christians and Jews both basically have the same origin stories. But I don't know if they have the Adam and Eve story or if that's how they kind of they have the creation story for them. Because every religion has a creation story, or even
Yeah.
every society and culture. So that's one of my favorite things to look up is just like what they think is real. And everybody has it's different. Like a lot of the times there's not a lot of commonalities. The only commonality that you can ever find is like a flood myth. That is the
Yeah.
one thing that every religion has, which is kind of crazy, but it also makes perfect sense. So, um, it's just always so interesting to see what people think of, like, the origin story, because in my brain, it makes a lot more sense for it just to be trickled down scientifically for us to kind of evolve into these different things rather than just, "Oh, here's 2 people, and now we have 9 billion people." Like, that's fucking bizarre if you put it that way. If you start with 2, what and that's the thing, what is more of a scientific anomaly that we just interbreeded for thousands of years to create Homo sapiens, or that there was only 2 and we just mathematically got all the way to 9
Yeah.
billion? Like, what's a bigger toss up? I don't know. But
Yeah.
to your point, we'll never know. But it'd be I know there's a lot of archaeologists out there that try and claim that, like, "Oh, we found Adam and Eve, like the very first Homo sapiens," and then they can go off of that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so, but
I don't think so either. What's kinda crazy though is I learned this from one of my pharmacy, professors that we breathe these her a mo or an yeah, a molecule of oxygen. We have breathed the same oxygen as Jesus Christ, like, today, which is so weird. You have breathed the same molecule of oxygen as every single person on this planet, which is kinda
mhm.
the craziest thing I've ever heard. Because 'cause you're like, "Wow, that's can't be real, right?" But no, you actually have, which I think is just puts into perspective, like, wow.
It's all those little niche things where it's just like the stats just don't make sense,
Yeah,
and so I completely understand when you go from if you go to a statistical point of just yeah, like because nobody really thinks about how we're breathing, right? Nobody really thinks about, oh, if there was literally just a one variant change in chemicals in the air, none of us would cease to exist. Like,
yeah.
you don't think about that. You just think, oh, well, it's the air. Like I'm just breathing it. Like it's not, or it's oh, it's just water. Like I just I'm just drinking it. It's like
Right.
to have all those anomalies and those to be consistent is crazy.
That's why I
And
said
like
it's so perfect that, like,
it is.
like, everything, you can drink anything and your kidneys filter or whatever, and then your blood gets filtered by it's just like, it doesn't make sense that everything could happen by chance, and we're still talking about the human body, we're not talking about
Yeah.
anything else in the world.
I would say because then it kind of goes into the point of like if God created us, do you think that He created everything on Earth so that we would have the perfect aroma,
I don't know.
or is it the other way where He found this perfect aroma and put us here?
Oh, man.
That's where it's trippy. It's like
Yeah.
do you think that God took it all the way back, that created the earth, created it this perfect atmosphere for humans, and then put us here? Or do you think the world was just the way it needed to be, and then he's like, "Yep, that'll work for my creation. Let's put us here."
What makes
Because
sense to you?
if I were to go that route, I think it makes more sense probably if he created everything, right? Because there's just
Yeah.
no way, even if like let's say he created the humans, he'd have to make so many changes by the time he got to Earth. Like, unless he was traveling the whole galaxy and literally looked for every single niche thing, well, like we said, chemicals for eating, drinking, every, the atmosphere, the ozone layer. I mean, you name it. There's almost too many imperfections where it's like he almost had to just made it. Like he had to have said, like, almost like coded it out, said this is exactly how everything's gonna be, and then boom, put us there. If I were to believe it that way, that's what I'd probably have to say. But
Yeah. I agree, I think that would make sense. We're so minuscule in this world that it's hard to even think about
yeah.
creating everything, but I think that that does make sense to me, but
It's either that or he could have had, like, a general outline of how he wanted to create this race called humans or Homo sapiens and
yeah,
found Earth and then fine-tuned us just enough before putting us down, but I just it's so hard because you do look at, like, modern day scientists and, like, people, they can create some crazy shit where it's like you can literally start from scraps or just general earth materials and go build some crazy stuff, and in that way, we're our own creators, but we've never been able to, like, recreate life in that sense. So that's kinda where it's, on the other side where I struggle with is, like, we can't recreate humans, or we can't even recreate living organisms, you know what I'm saying? Like a Frankenstein per se, where you literally take different organs, organisms, living things that are dead and revamp them or just create it from scratch. And so it's like, how did that happen? How did we just get created out of nothing and then evolve into all these different things? I don't
yeah.
know. That's the biggest thing that I struggle with is just, like, it's almost it's like a myth to me. It's, like, mythical that, and that's what gods are. Gods are mythical creatures that are able to do things that humans can't do, and so that's kinda where the origins stem from, but it's tough. It's tough for me to think that way. I don't know. I think it'd be great, like, if let's say, for instance, a god came down to Earth, it was just like, "Here I am, watch me do this, boom, boom," and he shows exactly how it works, then great, but that's kind of the whole point of religion is it's a faith-based, like, you're never gonna know, so you just either have to believe or you don't have to believe, and that's as complex as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kinda gives meaning to life too, like, if you knew what the outcome was, what would be the point? You know what I mean?
Well, and that exactly, and that's kind of leading right
The whole
into the next
point. Yeah.
question of what happens when you die. Like, what gives your life meaning? What's the purpose? What happens at the end? What do you think?
You know, I believe there's heaven and there's hell. I also think, like, that moment before you die, there's a flash of memories, whether it's minutes long where, like, kinda you flash through your whole life and you kinda see everything that you enjoyed or what happened throughout your life. Now what heaven looks like or what hell looks like, I don't know. I don't think it's a door and Jesus tells you to go to one, or I don't know if it's a gate and he but, I think I'm completely okay with not knowing, like, um, I yeah, I don't know. I believe in heaven and hell, but I'm not sure what it'll look like once it comes but I'm okay with waiting to find that out when that day comes.
How do you think, or let me say this, how do you think you're judged? Do you think that God judges you based off of how you live your day-to-day life, or do you think he judges you off of, like, your belief in him?
Um, I would say he judges you off, like, the actions that you make and then, you know, sins and stuff. Are you asking for forgiveness? Are you praying to him, or are you just repeatedly doing the same things over? Are you doing something, realize you're doing it wrong? I think it's just kinda like the overall daily actions. Do you acknowledge, are you accepting that you're doing the wrong thing and that's not something that he would want you doing, or are you just still doing it, sinning over and over and over again?
Yeah. And I've always kind of liked that idea of it too, is like you can lie to everyone, including yourself, but at the end of the day, if there is an almighty power that created you and knows how everything works, like he's going to know the truth. So if you do believe in a heaven or a hell, I think that's how it's judged is like the truthfully the actions, the intentions and the things that you wanted to try and do, I think are a big factor. I think it's silly to think that if there's a God and he created us and did all these great things, that he's gonna either let you live on eternally if you praise him or if you don't. If you don't praise him, going to hell. If you praise him, you're going to heaven. Like I think that's ridiculous. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up on Christianity is that people choose the route of, well, I'll just praise him for everything that happens and then I'll just get into the pearly gates. It's like
Yeah.
it's based I think if it's real, it's gotta be based off your actions, and it just has to be. I just don't think that it's based off of, "Oh, you went to church every single Sunday, you never missed it, but you know what? Monday through Saturday, you were a piece of shit, who gives a fuck? You were there on Sunday, let's bring you in." Like, I
Yeah.
just don't think it's that easy.
It's not an
Um
attendance thing, definitely not, but I feel like that kinda can be pushed in today's society, like, you can you can do the worst things in the world on Friday and Saturday, but, yeah, as long as you wake up hungover on Sunday and go hit church, you're good for the week. Like, I
you're
feel like
solid.
that's kinda what happens more in today's, society, which is it's not a good thing. I don't believe that's ever how it was made to be, but I feel like that's kinda how it gets taken.
Yeah, and, it's tough, and I understand completely your thoughts on, like, why stress about it because it's gonna happen no matter what, and the reality is you're never gonna know until it happens, and
Yeah.
so I completely understand that. I lean more towards the side of, like, I don't know, death is always top of mind for me, and it's not because 'cause I'm morbid or anything like that, but it's just, like, for me death is the purpose. Like, to live a full life so that when death comes, I can have a smile on my face is the whole purpose of living, is to know that you took on this dance called life. So then when ultimately it comes back calling for your name, you can hit it with a smile. Where I know some people are just like, "Well, I don't wanna think about that," but, I like to ask it just because, a lot of times I think you would see it if you worked in a nursing home or if you worked with elderly people. When they're knocking on death's door, there's gotta be a lot of panic. There's gotta be a lot of anxiety and a lot of things that regret or fear, and so I would hate getting to the end, live 70 plus years, and then spend my last year just freaking out all the time because I didn't take the right precautions or I didn't train my mind. So that's always top of mind for me is the way that I look at the world and look at death and look at just the dance that we call life. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. If there was one thing that people remember about you when you die, what would you want it to be?
Um, I would just say, like, cared for other people, was always nice to them. Maybe someone that, like, you could always count on. Good parent, good friend, good brother, which I feel like, that's something you build up over the course of your lifetime, but I think most people would say sort of the same thing, like, just someone that all around good person, cared for other people. Um, yeah.
I think it's like I said with dad, it's one of the coolest things where you can just thinking about somebody puts a smile on their face. I think that's one of the coolest things that you can do as a human is contribute enough and be involved enough with people's lives in a positive way that when they think about you, it's like, oh, like it brings a spark. And I think that's what we pass down through generations is that spark and that smile and positive energy. Whereas like we've also I'm sure you've met people where you're like, "Oh, so and so died," and you're like, "Who?" Or
Yeah.
like, "Oh, so and so died," and you're like, "Oh, well, that sucks." Like they kinda had it coming. Like that would be a terrible way to go out is just like have negative aura around you and negative energy and just like not be able to give back to the world. Whereas like if I wanna be at the point where I take, my last breath and people are sad about it, but not only that, but they're "Oh, Dylan left this mentality, and this is the kinda, mindset that he always had. Why not, like, have a little bit of that and involve that in my daily life?" And, obviously, the most influential person you can make on that is your kids, and so, that's kinda one of the things that I wanna do with this podcast too is, like, I think it'll be so cool later in life if my kids can go back and listen to these conversations. Like, "Oh, let's listen to dad and Uncle Lando talk, for a couple hours," and, like, just re-listen and revisit these things, I think is so fucking cool, and it leaves a
That's
legacy.
yeah.
Like, it's so cool, and it's so hard nowadays to leave a permanent legacy where you're just so caught up in daily life, but you can leave it through your, mannerisms and different things like that, but, um yeah, man, I don't know, I think that'd just be the coolest thing if they're my kids are out in public and they're like, "Who's your dad?" And they go, "Oh, Dylan." And they go, "Oh, Dylan, I love that guy. That guy's a good guy." Like, I think that's so fucking cool. I think that's so cool. And so that's a definite purpose for me is to install so much positivity in people's life that they can't do anything but smile. They can't do
Yeah.
anything but say, "Fuck yeah, I like that guy." So, but kinda leaning on society and things like that, what do you think modern society takes most for granted with our human existence, would you say?
Um, I would say, like, how meaningful and fragile life actually is. Like, you could you could die every single day. Like, there's a possibility think about every day when you're driving on the highway or anything like that. Like, that could be
Mhm.
the last breath, last step you take, and I just think a lot of people take that for granted, with the use of social media, with it. Like, myself, I need constant stimulation usually because I need something in my brain to keep me going, but simple things just like as watching a sunrise or a sunset, like, little things that just show how meaningful or, like, how beautiful life actually is because, we could be called to the gates any day now, you know what I mean? Like, just to be grateful every day that you wake up, grateful for every breath you take or every step you walk. I just think we get carried away a lot in modern society. Um,
Introducing West River Caramel Whiskey. West River Whiskey proudly presents their caramel flavored whiskey, a proud product of South Dakota. A perfect balance of high quality whiskey and smooth caramel, crafted to provide a rich experience with every sip. The whiskey used in their caramel whiskey is double pot distilled and aged for 5 years in American white barrels, creating a deep, refined character before carefully blended with caramel flavors. Rooted in agriculture and crafted with care, this bottle represents the spirit of the Midwest: hard work, patience, and authenticity. Whether enjoying neat, over ice, or mixed into your favorite cocktail, West River Caramel Whiskey delivers smooth, warm, with a touch of sweetness that lingers long after the glass is empty. You can get yours now at westriverwhiskeyco.com. Ships to Alaska, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Oregon, South Dakota, and Utah. Yeah, I think you're right on the money with the stimulation thing is such a new thing, right? Where it's like our parents didn't have that growing up, and even like, even younger than them. Um, and not even when I was growing up as much, more towards, when I got to middle school and high school, but, yeah, the stimulation thing where it's like for us, it's like video games where it's like constant action moving, like Call of Duty, for instance, where it's just like you're just shifting all over the place, it's just that rapid fire stimulation, or like TikTok scrolling, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is, it's just like that constant, like, just dump of information and, like, attention, and it's so different. And that's literally just in, like, the last 10 years. Like, that's just so different and so new, and so, um, it's really interesting to see the generation, like, basically your age and younger, how they coped with it and how they, because people nowadays are getting phones by the time they're 7 years old or 6 years old, and it's like, you
Yeah,
just don't know how to live without that constant stimulation of just connecting with other people and doing different things, and so, um I don't know. I tell this story all the time. One of Darian's siblings, they literally don't know how to eat food without a video of someone eating in front of them. Like, it's just like they literally have never been in a world where they weren't on their phone and seeing someone else eat while they eat. Like, that's fucking bananas to me.
that's
It's
crazy.
so weird. But it's true. Like, we take all these things for granted, and to your point, like, nobody ever thinks about a sunset, like, what just happened? Oh, literally, the Earth rotated fast enough in this floating galaxy that now the sun's on the other side of the Earth, so now we don't get to see it. But to them, they're like, "Oh, yep, the sun's just going down, it'll come back up tomorrow, it's no big
Yeah,
deal." Like, it's like, no, that's not true, that's just not it. It's a million times more complicated than that. My favorite example is always the zoo. I love going to the zoos because when you see certain animals, you just, like, for instance, an elephant. A normal person would walk up and be like, "Oh, it's just an elephant." It's like, motherfucker, that thing is 13 tons and it's
yeah,
walking and it's standing almost 20. Like, what do you mean that's just an elephant? Or a rhino who is 2-ton little meatball? Like, just like, I'm just like, how did we get here? Who created that? How did it get here? Tell me more about that. Or giraffes or anything. Like, it's just so crazy, but it's so easy to get caught up in your life of, like, you go to the zoo, like, "Oh, there's the giraffes. Oh, there's the elephant. Oh, now we're gonna go home now." It's like,
yeah.
that's how you live life. Well, it's just like, "Oh, there's a sunrise. Oh, there's a sunset. Oh, I'll just get another one tomorrow." Like,
But even if you, like, think about
it's
your
tough.
cat, it's like a little lion. I mean, those
Yeah.
it's
A
just the
little
craziest
gato.
thing, like, yeah, I think everybody takes for granted. You have a literal little lion in your room
Mhm.
that's it's just crazy to think.
But that's it, kind of wraps back around. Is it like, so I think it's so easy for people to accept evolution with other living organisms, but it's so hard for people to accept evolution with humans. And it's like, I don't distinguish the two. I think both of them spawn from evolution. I think we just got on the right side of evolution. And, if you look at, for instance, cats, like, they used to be these big, burly animals, then they got domesticated, and now they just continue to shrink. Same
Yeah,
with dogs. Big old doggies kind of domesticated shrink. And they're talking about raccoons now are even starting to become domesticated. It's when you start to rely on other people for food sources, you don't get as violent. You don't need as many, aggressive tendencies, so on and so forth. And so, I think humans are going that way too, where it's like we used to be these hunter gatherers where we literally had to go get our own food, our own, water source, defend ourselves, all the things. But now it's like, dude, I can get food delivered to my house. I have unlimited water. I have unlimited shelter. I'm domesticated. I mean, that's just the best way to put it. I'm a domesticated human now. And so it's like, but how far is that going to continue to trickle down? Because we rely on so many outside sources now, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Uber Eats, whether whatever it is, like, what's the next step? Like, how far deeper in this hole are we gonna get? Because it's looking grim. It's looking grim. Like, I don't leave my house. I almost never leave my house. It's just like,
Yeah.
what's the point? And I just think everybody is getting to that point where it's like, what's the point? There's no money anywhere. There's no, anything else to do other than just you can sit at home. I can have a conversation with you. I can go upstairs, talk to my kids, and come back down and play the games with the boys. Like, why do I need to leave the house? What is out there that's not in here that I can't get? But that's
Just it's
also scary.
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
scary because it's like, why am I not leaving the house? Where when I grew up, it was like, I am out of the house all the time. I'm never in the house. I'm always outside. I'm always doing things. I'm playing a sport, whatever it is. And so to now be in the inverse of that, it's scary. I don't know. It's weird.
It's such a different world, and it's gonna be crazy for, like, even when I get older and maybe have
Mhm.
start having kids, like, what that'll even look like. Cause yeah, we like you said, we were outside all the time, playing baseball, playing football in the backyard,
Mhm.
riding bikes everywhere, riding back to Casey's and getting a Mountain Dew, just, like, we were never in the house except for at nights, like, but
Mhm.
that's just not you don't have to go anywhere, like but the thing is, I don't know where it goes from here, cause
I
it
don't know.
seems like we've peaked, but
Mhm.
there's always something more, but I don't know what that is gonna look like, though.
I think it's simulation is the next thing. Like, we're getting so good at simulating right now, whether it's through video games or, like, TVs, like, you can watch a movie and be vicariously living through that character, and people can connect with it, or, like, books. That's what books used to do. I don't know, it's so interesting to look at books, like, books were TV before TV, right? Where
Yeah,
basically you put it's a story, which is what a movie is, but it's just playing in your head, and you get to create your own version of it, where their TV is a story, but they show you what that image is.
yeah,
Um, and that kinda helped me read in the long term too, is like I like you said, I never liked reading, but when I started to think about it that way, it's literally just TV for your head. It's you have to use your imagination and put yourself in the position, where now is like we've dumbed it down so you don't even have to think about it. It shows you a visual and it shows you a story, so you just have to turn your eyes on, like,
yeah.
but it's so crazy. Um, Another thing that I think is so cool, not cool, but kind of scary, is, I took, like, a picture, or I had Darren take a picture of me looking at the TV, right? Now, if you, like, edit out the TV, you literally are just staring at a wall. Can you like, you know how nuts that is? Is that, like, you literally are just staring at a wall,
Yeah,
and you do it for hours, if not, I mean, hundreds of hours a year. That's nuts. We're just pissing away time. We're pissing away life by staring at a wall and not interacting with the things around us, the people around us. And I'm 100% guilty of it. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else. It's just like, it's kind of scary when you think about it. It's kind of nuts. Or your phone, when people take pictures of people on their phones in public and then they erase them, and it's like they're just staring at the ground while they're out in public. And it's like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
we're just losing all of our social touch.
Do you think you would
Crazy.
do you think you would fit in better, like, say, like, the age that grandma and grandpa are? Like, do you think you would enjoy that time better, 1950s, like, where it was before this? Like, when social
Mm.
media wasn't a thing, you don't gotta worry about this. You ride your bike to school, you wanna go hang out with someone, you can't call them. You gotta go ride over there. Do you think you'd, like, enjoy that time more than the time today?
As I got older, no. And the reason I say that is with, like, having kids and a wife and everything, we don't ever hang out with people that much because we're just too busy. There's too many things going on. So me having the ability to, like, literally sit down with you right now, or, like, later today if I wanna play games with the boys and catch up with somebody, like, Teddy, for instance, I hadn't talked to Teddy in a couple months, and yesterday we played, like, 5 hours of games together. Like, that has given us the ability to stay connected with so many more people. Whereas, like, back in the day, if you didn't see somebody for a year or something like that, you have no idea what's going on with their lives. Like, you can't just stay connected with them. But I do remember as a kid, I think it was one of the coolest things of, like, having to go out and get that interaction. Like,
Mhm.
physically, I wanna go see Tyler today, so I have to leave my house, and I have to go knock on the door. "Hey, Angela, is Tyler here?" "No." "Oh, he's with his dad today." "Oh, okay." Go back home. Okay, now I'm gonna go talk to Sean today. Now I go take my bike 4 blocks to the south, go knock, "Is Sean here?" "Oh, no, Sean's at his grandparents." "Okay, cool." And then, like but those interactions were so much more meaningful than just, like, a quick text, "Hey, what's up?" "Oh, no" like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think that to experience the true, like, no technology, just raw dogging it, I think is 100% something people should experience.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone nowadays will never get to experience that. They never will,
No. But
which is crazy.
yeah, like you said, like if I want to go hang out with John or Jack, we had a home phone, so if you memorize their number, then you could call them. But most of the time, it was just riding a bike over or something like
Mhm.
that, which like. I think that's awesome. Which I don't think it'll ever be the same, which sucks because kids
No.
won't be able to experience that. I mean, we rode our bikes every day to the bus stop and then took a bus to school. Even stuff like that, I just feel like is in time won't be even there anymore. But I
No.
think I could definitely see myself like living back then, and I think it would be just the coolest experience, like to go what they went through. Like we have it so easy today, and it's just I
Mhm.
don't know. Like you said, you don't have to
Yep.
leave your house for anything. Like everything you could ever want, you have.
It's nuts. It's and so I think that one of the best things that we're trying to do with Freya is limit screen time as much as humanly possible. And
Yeah.
so, but like even like reading a book in front of her, she literally will like randomly grab books and like put her face up to it and act like she's reading. Like that's a good thing. Like, yes, let's read a
Yeah.
book together. Or, I can't thank Shad enough. He built a brand new swing set in the backyard. And that's huge so that we can literally take 30 minutes to an hour a day going outside and being and swinging and then playing with Sissy. Okay, let's have the game room. So that was one of the biggest things is that with me and Darian, we said we can have 2 TVs. We can have one downstairs and we can have one in our bedroom. That's it. Like,
Mhm.
there's never gonna be a TV in the girls' room, not in the second living room, not the kitchen, nothing. Like, just truthfully limited as much as possible. And I think we've done a pretty good job. I think we find ourselves in situations like, for instance, the car ride. We just drove, obviously to Sioux Falls and back, and we had spent over 12 hours in the car. Like, it's really hard to entertain a 2-year-old for 12 hours, like,
Yeah.
you're gonna need a little iPad time, little Mickey time, but, um, being okay with those situations, but then not defaulting to that when you're at home, like, it's so easy for me, like, "Hey, the boys are getting on to play some games, it's 10 in the morning, well, Freya, I'm gonna turn on some Mickey for you," and then just let her brain rot on Mickey for 3 hours, like, that's not a good thing, that's not a good thing, so as long as you can limit their exposure, but also use the technology to your advantage, I think it's overall a good thing. I do think it's
Yeah.
a good thing, but
Yeah, I think you guys have done great. I mean, like, especially Freya, like when she's at grandma's, like she doesn't some kids they need that stimulation. Like they need a TV if or they'll start crying if they don't have Cocoa Melon. But like she plays with her toys. I can see that you guys have done a great job like limiting that time because she doesn't need the stimulation constantly. She loves her little toys. I mean, definitely there is circumstances where in the car or something like that you need that. But I think that's kind of where society has gone is like
mhm,
whenever I need to do something, okay, I'm just gonna put them in front of a TV and they'll be fine. But I think that also is gonna lead to some of the downfalls of society moving forward. So I respect you guys for limiting the screen time. I think that's a great habit to start now.
it's hard. It is hard, but yeah, you just have to be present, I don't know. I would say no matter what you do, no matter what you choose as a parent, whether it's put them in front of the TV, send them to grandma's, whatever it is, it's hard. Parenting's hard. It is just part of
Yeah.
it. So, but I mean, that's life. Life's hard. Life's not fun, but you get to choose which route you get to take. You could take the easy route, be a piece of shit, but at the end of the day, it's still going to suck, or you could do it the hard route and get a little bit more rewarding things out of life. So that's just life. But,
Yeah.
um, what do you think the world needs more of from people, and how do you try and embody that in yourself?
Um, I would say like just genuine people. I think in the Midwest we kind of get a good exposure to genuine people more than other parts of the US, but there's just so much like selfishness within the world. Um I think that's kind of why like pharmacy has been able to stick with me a little bit maybe because maybe I'm not always the most outspoken about being caring for other people whatever, but it gives me kind of that voice for someone else when I can care for them in a different way. And I think kind of all of healthcare. But yeah, that's kind of how I embody myself. But I also like I'm always here for roommates, Matea, friends, siblings, whatever it needs to be, like someone to be here for, which I would consider as genuine, like just someone that you can rely on and always can talk about serious problems if needed. But yeah,
Yeah. People need a good outsource, that's for sure. I think we live in obviously a day and age where judgment's super easy. Um, social media alone, someone posts and next thing you know, there's 30,000 comments and none of them are nice. It's just like,
yeah,
it's so easy to be on the opposite end of that and, try and feel superior or whatever the case may be. Um, which is crazy. But no, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Being genuine is something. And I've spoken on it a lot of times. I think the world just needs natural born leaders where it's just like you don't have to give a speech, you don't have to, rally the troops and move them. It's just like lead by example
yeah,
because that's what a parent is, like I said, it's just leading by example. Everything I do, my kid's gonna repeat because they don't know anything else to do. Like, they have no memories, they have no, stories to make it nothing because everything's brand new. So it's like, that is what they're going to repeat, that's what they're going to redo, and so, I've had moments where, like, I was playing games and I smashed my hand on the desk, and 2 weeks later, Frey was like, "Ah," and smashed. I'm like, "God damn it." It was like, that's me. There's no one else I can blame but myself because she
yeah,
didn't learn that from anybody else. So, just lead by example. Lead by example. I think that goes a huge route with life, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this. I think there's plenty of people out there that are like, "Oh, I've always thought about doing a podcast, or always thought about asking people to come on and have tough conversations and do things like that." I'm sure everybody has, but it's really hard to start it, or really hard to continue it. So, the best thing I can do is just lead by example, and if other people will catch on to it, great. If not, so be it. It's not a big deal. So.
yeah.
That's cool. Well, I always like to ask people too. I know I've grilled you with a lot of questions. Is there anything that you were reading through my questions or any questions that you had for me?
Yeah, I wrote a couple down for you. What is like one trait from mom and one trait from dad that you think embodies you the most? And
Mm.
what would you say about that?
That's a good question.
You
I
can
think
skip. You can skip too if you need.
no, 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 I want to do it. My mother's side is definitely my sharpness or my edge to
Yeah,
life, where it's just like I am very particular on things. I'm very, I sometimes can be quick to judgment. Sorry, mom. But, just like there's just certain things, a little bit of an edge to me where it's just a little bit aggression, a little bit sharpness, to fine tuneness. And that's just what kind of mom embodies is just that kind of constant professionalism, constant like edge to her. That just kind of distinguishes her out from everybody else. And then from dad, I think it's the social aspect, like the retail mindset where you're just nice to everybody. You just got that genuine personality for people. And like I said, I just want to put smile on people's faces. So, from dad, I think I definitely took the idea of just like putting other people first sometimes and just being there for somebody. I think he's a way bigger leader than he actually sees himself as.
yeah,
And that's something that I've always been proud of too. Like I said, I absolutely love when somebody's like, "Oh, you're Jason's boy," and and dad's not that big of a talker. If you get him sitting down one on one, he doesn't talk that much about things. He doesn't really talk about emotions. It's no different than Ted, but I think he leaves a much bigger impact than he actually gives off or proves to himself. So I think I embody both of those with mom and dad.
yeah. You say that, and like working with dad or spending those couple days, 2, 3 days that I had with him. He's not a talker. His conversations with the patients, they're not long, but they're
No.
brief little, like, 5, 10 second, like, just catching their attention, ask them how they're doing, and, like, it's just repetitive, and that over time just kind of builds that relationship. Because I know some other pharmacists will sit there and take 5, 10 minutes to talk to multiple people, but he's just really good at, like, that consistency and,
Mhm.
asking people how they're doing, how's the family, but then also keeping it professional and keeping it rolling, which is really cool to experience because,
Yeah.
he's been there for so long that he's been
He's a
very
celebrity, local legend, as
very
they say.
trustworthy, Big celebrity in the area.
And when I was working retail, I took a lot of things from that because you know, I worked at Walmart for many summers and always saw dad working and always saw his interactions too. Not working behind him, but just around him. And I took all that into retail, and it's definitely a retail mindset. You just have to be, you know, try and be genuine to everybody, be nice, put a smile on your face even when you don't want to. And it helped me be super successful in retail, and I 100% learned that from him and nobody else. So I got to give him a lot of credit for, you know, my social side of things, and I think mom more towards my personality side of things. I think that's kind of a good way to put it.
Yeah. Um, Maybe you wanna talk about your recent struggles with health, maybe you don't, but kinda tell me, like, what's your plan for the future? Have you made any plans, maybe, like, considering working from online at home? Like, kinda just where your head is with that, because I haven't heard much from or about it here lately, so I was just kinda wondering how you were doing mentally. Are you still doing good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question. And I fall really bad where I don't like to talk about things. Not that it's like it bothers me. I just don't like to. I don't like to throw a pity party, right? Where it's just like everybody. There's somebody out there who probably just lost their leg, or literally is on has stage 3 cancer and is dying, and my tummy hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that's the way I put it in perspective, and so, I don't like to talk about it in that sense, but I do. I'm doing good. I will say that when I had my back stuff, and that was the lowest point of my life by far. Like, I was so not ready to take that on mentally, and so when it was going through and then I was going through all these changes physically and, you know, gaining weight and all the other things, just it was like a snowball that just rolled into this boulder and just hit me like a freaking freight train, but this time around, it's been very different. I've been super active. I mean, we're going to doctor's appointments every single week. We're going all the time, trying to, you know, do lifestyle changes, different things like that, and just never saying no, like never quitting. Because it's really hard. I mean, this has been going on since November and we're in April now. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard every single time I go to a professional, they shrug their shoulders and go, I don't know. And it's like, it's hard. And it's definitely taken a mental toll on me, but I think my back experience has prepared me for this, where, like I said, the first time it was so much to take on because no one had answers and I was in so much pain and struggling. And even like this now, it's 6 months. I've been in pain every single day for 6 months. That's crazy. Like, that is nuts. And it's varied from, you know, like a 1 out of 2 to all the way up to a 7 out of 10. Like, it has gone back and forth so many times. But if I didn't have my wife and kids here every day to give me a purpose, I don't I'd probably be in that dark place again.
Yeah.
Um, it's a good thing we have so much going on because it keeps me distracted, and that's kind of what with the podcast too, and doing clips and keeping me busy, keeping me because I'm not working right now, so I needed things to continuously make my brain continue to go. Because yeah, I am the first person to go in a dark place. I would be, I'm the first person that, yep, I'm gonna go grab a 12 rack of brews and I'm gonna sit in front of a screen and just let time piss away. And that was the biggest thing that I learned last time about myself is that I will literally just shut down and I will go into a dark place if I let myself. So, um, trying to minimize all those distractions and just be present in the moment, has been good. So I'm honestly in a great mental place, you know, which is crazy to say because, like I said, it's been 6 months and it's been a lot of pain and it's been a lot of, you know, I've had a scope shoved every orifice of my body. I've had, you know, just anything you could think of. I've literally gone through it. Like last or on Monday, I had a esophageal manometry. Literally had someone shove a tube down my nose all the way to my stomach while you're awake and swallow for 20 minutes. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, "What the hell's going on? This is crazy." Like, and, you know, but that's just life, and so, luckily, I have a great mindset on me and a positive mentality where I was just smiling. I'm like, "This is nuts." Like, most
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, I can't," like, it's, you know, it was weird. It was one of the weirdest things I've done. Um, but, you know, I mentioned it, I think with Lauren, um, where it's like the glass half full versus glass half empty. I
Mhm.
used to be a glass half empty, where I always looked at the negative sides, where I was always like, "Oh my god, like, why can't it just get more, or why is this happening to me?" So on and so forth, where had to change my entire mindset to glass half full. Yes, I'm going through these things, but look at everything else I have going on for me, right? Look at all the other things that I have going for me. Trying to build things, trying to do things, like, yes, there's a part that's not fun and that I'm struggling with, but that's life, you know, I think you just go with it. So, I'm blessed to have Dan in my life and giving me the opportunity to still sell. Like, I've closed out a $20,000 sale that's gonna go down to 3 weeks from now and just still making money and doing things from home, which is amazing.
So
Um
are you doing it from home then right now? Is that what you've been doing? Just
Yep.
kinda video sales or what does that look like?
I don't get any new leads just because I can't go to their home and, like, give them an estimate in person because that's kinda the whole point, but any of the leads that I've had in the past, or I can do follow-ups with them, or I can continue to sell check-ins, all this stuff like that, so, like, even this past month, I think in March, I closed out $35 to $40,000 worth of sales and just sitting from home, so it's not like I'm completely shit out of luck. Most people who work hourly, they'd just be like, "Oh, you're out of money," but, like, I won't say the amount of money, but I'm
Yeah,
getting a couple G's here, a couple G's there, you know, just they're still coming in, which is great, which is what we needed. So, like I said, I'm very, very blessed to have the opportunity that I did when I did, so that I can now step back and take the time. So, we're getting closer. We're gonna redo one of the tests. I just met with the GI specialist yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. And she's convinced it's gastroparesis, which I completely agree with, which is basically just the vagus nerve is not properly functioning with the stomach, so it just doesn't there's just something going on in there that it's just causing me so much pain because I'll just eat and it won't pass and then it'll get blockage and all the other fun stuff. So, um, the only downside to that is you're just gonna be medicated, like, I'm just literally gonna have medicine for as long as it lasts or probably forever, and they said that if it gets worse enough, then they can try and do surgery to correct it, but it's like, that's not the steps they take, they're gonna let it ride for a long time until it becomes a
yeah.
problem, but I'm like, "Well, it's kind of a problem now considering I can't work," but, uh, yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. I've been feeling better, I've been on some new meds, Reglan and dicyclamine or something like that,
Yeah.
um, and so those have both helped. It's not cured anything by any means, but it's definitely
No.
helped a lot. So my biggest thing is just I was getting behind the wheel and I would literally start seeing double vision and the world would start spinning and I'd be going 72 miles down the highway and I'd be like, well, this is no longer safe. So that's where I had to draw the line. Um, but yeah,
Well,
I think we're hopefully getting back to it, but staying with a positive mindset, staying
that's good.
optimistic.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know it can be challenging, but yeah, I
it
guess,
is.
like, I was talking to grandma, and we just had no idea, like, if you were working at all, but, I mean, the fact that you're still closing out deals at home is great because
Yeah,
bringing in some money at least when you're, you know, it's
down and
hard, but
out. It is out.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. And luckily, during pregnancy went great. She's going back to work in 2 weeks, so um, quick turnaround. So we'll be good. I know finance is always a thing. Even Grandpa Gary was like, "Are you guys okay financially?" All these things. Like it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
But luckily, we've made smart decisions in our life, and we've been able. My Pokemon selection's getting thin over there. That's kind of what's kept us afloat over these last
You
6
started
months.
selling.
Yep. I still have about 7 or 8, but I've sold close to 25 grand worth of Pokemon just
Yeah.
to keep
Lord.
keep me afloat, so, um, Pokemon pays bills, baby, Pokemon pays the
Yeah.
bills, so
Yeah.
but we're running out, so
Um, just one more question. Is Kansas City the final location for you? Do you see yourself moving somewhere else back closer to home? Do you got any have you and Darian talked about that at all?
yes, as of right now, we do not plan on staying here, we it's tough. I miss Oregon so fucking much, and she is starting to realize that you know, it is great having family, and I think that's gonna be tough for us if we ever move away from family again. Like, her parents come down, well, at least once a month, if not twice a month. We come back once every 2 months. Mom and dad like, we're seeing family at a way better rate than I have since I literally left for high school. Like,
Yeah.
even in college, I would go 6 months without seeing anybody, or, you know, in Oregon, I'd go 6 months without even talking to mom and dad, and that was terrible, and that's not a good thing to have. So, we're loving that aspect of having family involved, and obviously being with kids now, family's the most important thing. Like, I know when Freya sees grandma and she goes, "Grandma," and comes over and gives her a hug, like that's melting her heart, and that you know is huge. So it'd be really hard for us to take away that. So moving back wise, um It all is gonna depend on Darian's job. So Darian will graduate with a degree in midwifery, and wherever she can get paid the best or is the best for us socially, we'll probably go. So if that's and we're open to new possibilities. So we've even said, like, if it was, like, fucking New Hampshire or even Tennessee or something crazy where they're like, "Hey, we'll come pay you 150,000 plus a year to come be a midwife, and you'll be the main person, blah, 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 blah." We'd be almost bizarre not to take that,
Yeah.
because the whole reason that she's going back to school is to become a midwife. So there's not that many in Kansas City. There's just not. So if she graduates and can't be a midwife, we're not going to go, oh, well, I guess we'll just sit around and wait for hopefully that opportunity to come. No, we're taking advantage of the opportunity while we're young to get her out into this field and to grow. So to answer your question, more or less, I don't know. It's not been I've lived in a lot of places, I've done a lot of things and it's yeah, I would say it's really easy to connect with certain places and really hard to connect with others. Where you'll when you start traveling and you experience things, even if you're there for a couple of days, you can just know if this is like the right fit for you. Like for instance, Oregon, we went out there for 4 days. I could tell within the first 48 hours, like I could live here and I would love it. And sure enough, lived there for 3.5 years and I loved every second of it. Same with San Diego. San Diego's the only other place where I went. I'm like, fuck yeah, I could live here 100%. Obviously, San Diego being as expensive as balls as it is now, I couldn't, but, 10, 15 years ago, I could. 10, 15 years, it would've been fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you'll figure that out when you're starting to explore places and you're doing rotations and everything like that. You'll travel and you'll be like, "Oh, I can absolutely live here," or, "I can't." Like, we went to the East Coast, like South Carolina, we've been to Florida, Texas, all those places. Immediately, I was like, "No, I don't wanna live here." I just wouldn't. So, we're still exploring, as crazy as it sounds, we're still young and we still have the opportunity, even though we have 2 kids and 5 animals. It's a lot to move. It really is a lot to
Yeah.
move, but we're willing to do it. We're willing to do it. I've never been to Colorado. I think me and Darian, that state is what keeps coming up every time we talk about moving or talk about being somewhere else. It's because I love the mountains so much. I never knew it until I went to Oregon, but like I love the mountains. I love a cabin scene. It puts me at home.
Yeah.
Which I never would have thought in a million years that would have been the one. But I love the mountains so much and it is like 10 hours from Spencer, so it's still a big drive. However, it's drivable, where Oregon wasn't drivable. You couldn't drive 27 hours. You couldn't put mom in a fucking car for 27 hours. That
Yeah.
wasn't happening. 10 hours is a day trip. No doubts about it. Like you got to plan that out. But
You could also, I mean,
so
Sioux Falls flies to Denver
yeah,
pretty frequently.
and
Um,
so, as long as it's accessible. The other thing is I loved being close to Brendan. Like, truthfully, when Freya was born and Brendan made the trip, I think 3 times in, like, literally it was a 7-hour drive, but he made it like, you just literally get up at 8 in the morning and you're there by 3. You're there in the afternoon. Like, it's a
yeah.
drive, but the idea that if we could all get us together and like, start having families, like, obviously, Brendan's married now, you have Mateo, Lauren has Cade, and, like, if 5, 10 years from now, everyone was, like, married and lived in the vicinity of each other, and then everyone was raising kids, I think that would be so fucking cool, because that is the one thing that me and Darian are missing right now, is people our age that are raising kids, or just people that are raising kids, like,
Yeah.
to go through these emotions and the things that we go through in the daily lives, or just, like, to spend time. It's really hard to invite your single friends over to come hang out with your kids. Like, it's just hard. It is. Like, with family, it's, all Dylan and Darren are obviously bringing their kids. They're gonna hang out. We're hanging out with the kids, auntie, uncles, all that fun stuff. But it's hard to say, like, "Hey, do you wanna come hang out with my 2 kids and just sit in the living room and do nothing else?" Like,
Yeah.
it's just not like it used to. So, I
I think
think that'd be so cool.
it would be so cool, and me and Mateo have talked about Colorado millions of times just because
Mhm.
we think that would be amazing. Um, but yeah, like you said, we didn't really have cousins growing up, so we never really had that experience. You go
No.
to grandma's and all of your cousins are there, which I think would be just it would be cool to see, especially from, like, our standpoint, like, if we had kids and they become best friends or cousins, I just think that'd be really cool, but,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely Colorado is just it's a beautiful place. We went there spring break a couple years ago, and it's amazing out there, it really is, but,
Yeah.
yeah,
So Darian's got 3 years left. of her school. And so by then, you and Lauren will both be out and kind of have an idea of where you're going to live. And so I think that that will make a big impact because I know Darian always wants to have family around. So if and it doesn't even have to, like I said, 7 hours was a good enough distance between me and Brendan. We still got to see each other every other month. Like
Yeah,
that's all it has to be. It just has to be within drivable distance because getting on a plane with kids is not easy. But getting in a car and driving a couple hours isn't the hardest thing in the world to do. So, um, yeah, I think that's a goal of mine is that you guys do whatever's best for you. Go explore, go see the world. And if the best things for you is on the East Coast, amazing. If it's back home or if it's wherever it is, just being able to sit down because I know that's what mom and dad want to do too. I mean, if say for instance, we all end up within a 7 hour radius in whether that's Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, whatever it is, they're going to want to be a part of that too, and them being empty nesters and, now having the house paid off and everything, I feel like they would relocate so that they could spend time with everybody and be around everybody too. So,
for sure.
I think that in the next 5 years will be one of the coolest things our family does is that we all kind of try and relocate so we can be closer together. I think would be really cool. But
Yeah, for sure.
we're just gonna let life take its course and see what happens. So, um, but yeah, I'd love to be an uncle. It's cool being a dad, but I wanna be a fun uncle. I wanna be, I think that'd
Yeah,
be cool. So,
that'd be sick.
time will tell. Time will tell. But all right, I think you're ready for the bonus question.
Alrighty.
Who do you think that built pyramids, or how do you think they were built?
Oh, I've spent just hours and hours watching Joe Rogan and
Hell yeah.
on this. Like, I don't think I don't think any idea of how they got there is a bad idea. I think the one that would make the most sense to me is if they were like if the natural ground was up here and then they cut it down.
Mhm.
Because like you said, those blocks don't make any sense. They're tons of thousands of pounds. You
Mhm.
couldn't in the distance they had to carry them. Unless those dudes were 8 foot tall and could bench 1,000 pounds apiece, there's just no way that they could pull it that far. But
Yeah.
I also think, like you said before, there's got to be some sort of ancient civilization because there's electricity rooted within the pyramids, like the top of the pyramid and everything like that. So I don't how they got there is I don't know. It's such a cool question to think about though because it is one of the coolest things in the world. You
Mhm.
think about all those wonders of the world that just make absolutely 0 sense in anybody's brain, but they're there, so
That's the point. Yep, they're there. I mean, no one can pinpoint it, no one can recreate it, no one can do anything, but they're there. So it's like that's the mystery, that just the aura that surrounds the pyramids, and it's so cool. And that's why I love to ask people. But I know most people don't spend too much time. But no, Joe Rogan's been, I know a lot of people like to hate on Joe Rogan, and they can say whatever they want to say, but like I have used his platform as, like, a guideline of how I wanted to run mine as well. It's just, like, to truthfully, like, have a conversation. Like, you can watch so many different podcasts where it's just well, they have their own style, their own things, whatever they wanna do, but it's like, at the end of it, I just want it to be a genuine conversation. Bring people on, have genuine conversations, whatever is interesting. His is a little bit different where he brings on, like, famous people and, like, people who specialize in certain areas, like, I don't necessarily wanna do that, but just the general tone and the flow of his conversations, they just flow naturally. Like you're just asking
yeah,
questions, you're just hanging out, whether you have a cigar, having a drink, whatever it is. I think that's really cool. But he brings on a lot of people, and he never tries to claim that he's the most educated person in the room. He never tries to say that he knows what's right and wrong, but he's willing to ask the tough questions. He's willing to, challenge the societal norms, which I think is important. I think you have to. And that kind of draws back to the Egypt thing is like, there's so many Egyptologists and everybody out there that are gonna say, "Oh, we know exactly how the pyramids were built, and because we've been knowing for the last 70 years," and it's like, it's just not true. It's not true. I don't care what you say, and I'm gonna fight it. And I'm not sitting here saying I know how it's built because I don't, but I'm just gonna say you can't sit there saying you know how it's built because you can't fucking prove it. So,
yeah,
um, that's just my biggest take on it.
yeah.
But
I don't know. I'd rather just sit there and admire the fact that we have fucking multiple pyramids that are ungodly. I don't even know if man-made, but probably man-made, but just they're the coolest structures on the earth. Like,
mhm.
and it's so unique that Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care how they got there, just the
Yeah.
fact that they're there is
Well, I always said if there ever comes a point where they, have time travel, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna time travel back and see some shit. That's all I know.
yeah,
Any superpowers, but, no, it's so cool. I can't wait to go. I don't know when I'll ever be able to actually go. I know tourism over there is kind of a nightmare right now,
yeah,
and it's expensive as balls, so we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, as vacations get more and we all get older, we can go on more vacations together. So who knows? Maybe we make a family trip to Egypt one day and get to see
that'd
some
be
cool
sick.
shit. It'd be
Yeah,
so cool. Be so cool. Well, cool. Well, Lando, I appreciate you coming on today. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world on a Friday to jump on and talk to your big bro for a couple hours, but it was fun. It was great. So I really appreciate you.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on here.